right, we're live. Hi, guys. Hi, Mia.
Hi, guys. Wow, we're back. I feel like I don't even understand how a whole week has passed. How are you?
Time is just
Like,
flying by. If you guys are tuning in, tell us how you're doing, how the week is going. Liat, I feel like nowadays the only way I see you is through video chat.
yeah,
It's
I
so
know.
weird, Mama.
It is beyond crazy. And at least we have this. We have come together yet again for another episode of Virtual JCC live with MOMJO. And each week we have an amazing guest, and we cannot wait to introduce you to today's guest. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Carolina.
Today's guest is a friend. She is a naturopathic doctor. She is a coach. She's got so much going on. Her name is Jodi Larry, and we're so happy to have you join us today, Jodi. How's it going?
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Hi. Oh my gosh. And the three of us are back together again, and we can't wait to talk all things natural medicine. And we want to get all the tips and tricks and knowledge from you as always. And we know that the audience also does.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
Yeah, if you guys are just joining in, the reason why we're talking to Jodi today is because we have been cooped up, like we always say, for 2 months already at home. And we want to talk a little bit about mom's health. We want to talk about how to keep as strong mentally and physically as possible, given the current context. So we thought Jodi would be a perfect guest. So without
Amen.
much more sort of interlude, the first question for you, Jodi, is you're a naturopath. You've been doing this for years. You have a beautiful community of clients and people who go to you for so much guidance. So for those of us who get all the health disciplines mixed up, right? What does a naturopath do? What is it that you specialize in?
Great question. So, naturopathic doctors are, I guess, different in the sense that our education is 4 years postgraduate. So you need a postgraduate degree. For example, I went to Western and I did a BA in psychology, and then I went to naturopathic college for 4 years after that. And what we learn in naturopathic college is sort of an umbrella of many different alternative therapies. So, for example, I am trained to do Chinese medicine and acupuncture, homeopathy, nutrition, lifestyle counseling. I don't do it at all, but I am also trained in some chiropractic manipulation and massage therapy and stuff like that. So as a naturopath, we're like an umbrella. We're sort of like a GP of all the alternative therapies. And then there are specialists. So there are people who are just acupuncturists and just homeopaths and just nutritionists. Not just, but that's what they specialize. As a naturopath, we have all the tools in our box. And then we sort of decide what we want to use based on the individual or the group that's in front of us. And then what I've seen a lot of naturopaths have done over the years is that they've sort of taken one or two modalities and they've sort of focused in on them. So I don't really practice acupuncture. I haven't put a needle in someone in, oh my God, like 4 or 5 years. I focused more on food and nutrition, supplements, more the mental emotional aspect, self-compassion, and we'll get into all of that stuff. But that is what separates or what differentiates a naturopath versus all these other different practitioners.
It's so interesting. And I'm going off our script just for 1 second, because if anybody's watching and you are able to share this is information that we're going to share today that Jodi's going to impart on us that should be heard by every person out there, no matter what your age and stage in life, no matter if you have a family or you're part of the JCC or not. This is really important information, especially amidst this time of COVID-19. And on that topic, Jodi, tell us how you personally and your practice have been coping with this pandemic so far.
So thank God, now, great. I find that people really need my services right now more than ever, actually, at the beginning. So what I'll say is I've been able to thrive in my career because of two things. One, childcare. So I still have a caregiver who is taking care of my kids. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now with you guys. I wouldn't be able to see my treatments or my program. So bless her soul. I just want to put that out there, because for people who don't have the childcare, even if they wanted to work, they can't. So because of that, I've been able to. The first couple weeks, people were sort of frozen and no one was booking in. And I was like, oh my God, like my whole career is going to go down the drain, you know, that kind of feeling. But within 2-3 weeks, when people saw that this was the new normal, I hate that term, but you know, that we weren't going live anytime soon and they really were struggling, then, you know, I would say I'm at like 90 to 100% capacity at this point.
Wow.
I've had to pivot, but it's been really awesome, to be honest. So as you guys know, I run a cleanse program. I've done every single program for 12 years live and in person myself. Okay. And I did my first ever virtual last week. And it was awesome. Like it was, I mean, virtual is the new normal. We don't know any different now, but it still went well and it was great. And it was cool to see that, you know, you can just expand the scope. Most of my clients for the last 12 years have been, I can say it on a JCC thing, like Jewish women, right? And so it's been nice to, not that like I love Jewish, I am a Jewish woman, but it's been nice to sort of like expand the horizons a little bit. And when you're virtual, you can do that. You know, the virtual world right now it's powerful.
It really is.
And it's actually a really good time for a cleanse. As you were saying it, I'm just saying, we're spending so much time at home. We're spending so much time eating from our fridges and our pantries.
Yep.
It's really a really good time to press that reset button on food. I mean, when we have the energy to cook, of course.
Yeah. I mean, there's two camps. Like I have like the camps of people who are like, I'm not cleansing through COVID. I don't even care about my habits. Like they're horrible and whatever. And great. Like who am I to tell them any different? We're all trying to cope and survive. And I think at this point, 9 weeks in, right? 9 weeks in.
It's beyond.
Like, holy shit, you know, excuse my language. But sorry, we're 9 weeks in.
Okay.
And at this point, I think if we're in the bad habits, like if we're eating too much sugar or not moving enough or, you know, the wine too much or any of that stuff, no judgment, but at this point, it's going to affect you.
Oh, you're feeling it for sure.
So at this point, yes, if you're ready to take some challenge on, a cleanse is an amazing thing. And I have a group right now and they're loving it and it's hard, but they're doing it. I have an Emerge doc right now in my cleanse group, if you can believe it, on the front lines.
Amazing.
Wow, really?
How is she swinging that?
It's what she wanted to do. It's what she felt would help her right now. She'd done my cleanse in the past and it's what she felt would help her because she knows about the body and how it works. And she knows that as hard as it would be physiologically, and we can get into that. I don't know if it was on your questionnaire, but you know, sort of what sugar does and how by taking that out and feeding your body good food, that's actually one big piece in resilience, right? What you eat or don't eat impacts your mental health before, you know, anything else.
100%.
Wow, fascinating.
We're going to get into all of that. We're going to be talking about what we put into our bodies, how we control and take charge of our mental health, especially right now. Yeah. But before we get into that, and probably one of the last few times we're going to touch on COVID through this conversation, it's from your communications with your clients. You said you're at 90 to 100%, so you're super busy. You're probably having conversations every day, many of them. Yeah. What are their biggest concerns? What are people who come to you most concerned about in the framework of COVID right now?
So definitely COVID is what is being talked about in a lot of people's sessions. Yeah. What I found, but that's transitioning. So what I found that at the beginning, it was all COVID and just supporting people's emotions is what I do as a naturopath. And it's what I do in my healing practice, COVID or not. So what I was for a lot of people was just a sounding board for what we don't often show anyone else.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So while, you know, to our kids and to our husbands and to our friends, like, yeah, well, we got this. We got COVID. I was the 1 hour a week where they like were not nailing COVID, you know, and letting those emotions. And I would want them to get them out because we all have those emotions, if we're honest. And there's no one who's winning at COVID. And like, we all have our ups and downs and we're all human, right? So a lot of people were just showing me that, you know, their struggles, and I would want them to because it's an important part. People were struggling most and still are struggling most with the uncertainty. I found I was working through that a lot with people. How to become more comfortable with the uncertainty, how to deal with the uncertainty, the lack of control. That was very, very, very hard for people.
It's huge.
In general, it is, but COVID really pushed that, right? Like, I don't care how much power or money or fame you have, you are at home and you have no control right now. So that's vulnerability, right? And people are feeling their vulnerability in ways that they never ever have before, and they don't really know how to navigate that. So I've been talking a lot about that, how to navigate that, how to move through that. I've been talking at the beginning of COVID. I found I was like back in nursery school, to be honest. It was basics like, are you moving your body every day?
Right.
You know, my clients be like, no. I'd be like, move for 5 minutes every day. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Are you drinking water? Like, that's what it was like at the beginning of COVID, because people were so like, right? But now that people have grounded a little bit more, because that's just what happens to human beings, right?
We get more used to it, right? We become a little bit acclimatized to what's going on.
Homeostasis. It's actually a scientific process that we as humans can adapt to anything. Look at the Holocaust. Look what humans lived through and adapted to. You know, like, human beings will adapt. They are resilient. So now it's more like people finding their way again. That's what I'm talking about now. It's like, okay, I lost my way. It's been 9 weeks. I can't live like that anymore. How do I find my way through this new normal? What tools, food, breath, movement, etc. What tools can I use to help me feel good through this time? Because if people aren't using tools, they're going to slide, goodbye.
Right.
We're both going.
Okay. Yeah, we're going. We get it. We understand that slide, that slippery slope.
We all have it as humans, and we've all been there. Like, that's something else that I always want to illuminate when I'm speaking to people, is that it's not this absolute thing. We all go up and down. I know for me, for sure, my highs through COVID have been like, when I'm feeling like happy and joyful and grateful, I'm like exploding. But my lows are low. Like, when I'm low, I'm like, I'm scared and I'm jerk and I'm confused and I'm feeling all the pain and the grief, and right, like, it's a lot. So when we have tools that we can use when we're feeling irritable or frustrated or overwhelmed, or when we don't have space, that's a big one for mamas. I know there's a lot of mamas obviously in your tribe. As mamas right now, we have no space. You know, I know for me, I can't speak for you guys. It's very painful for me when I don't have space for my kids.
Amen. Amen.
I really get wretched, and I really need it. So what I want to teach people through this, the moms, the dads, whoever, like, don't judge yourself when you get to that place. Know, as a human, we are going to get there, but know what to do when you're there. So when I get too wretched, when I'm yelling too much, when I'm irritable, when I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to die, I leave, I exit, I go for a walk, I do 10 minutes of yoga, I call a friend, I put on a song and dance for 5 minutes. I have a toolbox. That's my biggest if people can take one thing from this call, it's find your toolbox through COVID and use your tools.
So important.
Yeah.
Leanne, what is your toolbox?
I mean, Jodi named some of them. I literally run out. I leave the house. I sometimes go out for 2 walks a day, or sometimes I'll run in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'm like, I need space, and I walk. It is space from the children, but it's also, you know, people that work from home. Carolina, I'm sure you'll relate to this. Jodi, you too. People that work from home, when our kids go off to school, we have the home to ourselves, or we go to a coffee shop, we have our quiet time to work, and then I'll drive home, or I'll walk to pick them up from school, or there's some break and barrier between our work day and then our parenting work day or night. And that lack of divide, I'm finding that's what's difficult. The switch off from work and then to become mom, or vice versa, that's where it's difficult. So yeah, I would say getting out the house and waking up early. You know my thing. I wake up before the kids so that I just have a bit of calm and a bit of time to myself. What about you, Carolina?
So I tried waking up before the kids, but now my kid is waking up as early as I am, so that's a problem.
Big problem.
Definitely my half hour of working out every day has been helping me like I never thought it would. I'm doing some Melissa Wood Health, like probably 5 times a week. I'm doing cardio another 2 to 3 times for half an hour. I don't have a caregiver, so I'm really, really struggling with handing over my children. My husband does take them for half an hour every day for a walk, and that is 45 minutes actually. So that's my me time. But that's my toolbox, just exercise and that time for myself just to breathe in silence, no noise.
Yeah. Oh,
that really helps. But some days it's not enough. Some days I lose it.
No, definitely. Jodi, you brought up some really, really interesting points, and you know that we are massive fans of yours. I'm going to lead us in another direction, specifically still with COVID, but you've been speaking about the average person who's not thinking about necessarily catching COVID. It's about dealing with how society is now reacting to lockdown and social distancing. What about the worry of actually catching it? And do you perhaps have, from the perspective of naturopathic medicine, like a way for us to best prepare ourselves and try to, I don't know, not catch it or stay strong and keep healthy, if that makes sense?
Great question. You know, as you were asking me that though, it's really interesting to me because I've talked to so many people over 9 weeks, and I will always ask that question to them. Are you fearful of catching COVID? Like, is that one of your anxieties, paranoias, neuroses? I think not one person has said yes. No one is getting it.
Interesting.
Because we're all at home. Not right now. That may change as things change. But as people are sitting at home, their fear is not getting COVID, you know, so long as they're doing everything, you know, to the best of their ability, washing their hands, blah, blah, blah. When things open up is when people are going to have to be way more conscious of their immune systems because there's not going to be as much control, right? Eventually, the world is going to open up a little bit, right? Like, we're not going to be like this forever, guys, right?
Right.
So, please, God. Like, so then people are going to have to be on top of their immune systems. And what I would say is this. First and foremost, vitamin D is essential. Everybody should be taking vitamin D. And before I say this, just because my regulation and board, and I don't want to, my disclaimer with this is I'm not giving any naturopathic advice with anything that I'm about to say. And if you are going to follow any advice that I'm about to say, especially with regards to supplements, please like refer to your own naturopathic doctor or make an appointment with me or something to make sure that it's safe for you.
Yeah, this is not an appointment.
Yeah, I have to disclaim that as a naturopath.
No, you're absolutely right.
So good. Now I'm okay. Anyways, vitamin D is very important. Everyone should be taking vitamin D. There has been some research that has come out that you know, vitamin D deficiency has been, you know, making the virus more impactful. I don't want to claim anything like that, but what I will say is when people are vitamin D deficient, they're more susceptible to viruses in general. Okay, so that's how I'm going to frame all of this. So keeping your vitamin D at bay, you're less susceptible to virus. Your immune system is stronger. That's number one. Vitamin C as well. 1,000 milligrams a day, a great way to keep your immune system at bay. Diet is huge. The more refined sugar you eat, the more caffeine you eat, the more wine you drink, the more stress hormone you have in your system. The more stress hormone you have in your system, the worse your immunity. So that's where sort of food comes in, but then also stress. So the more worried we are about anything, the weaker our immune system is as well. So whenever I'm anxious, I'll always say to myself, especially pre-COVID, you know, you guys will know this as a mom, like if your kids are sick and you have something big coming up for work and you're like, you can't get sick, but you're taking care of your sick child. And how are you not going to get sick? And tomorrow you're presenting and right, you've been there.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of like ground yourself down and say, like, you're not going to get sick. You're not going to get sick, right? We have to use that mental aspect too. The more you stress from a physiological perspective, the more stress hormone you're putting on your system and the more susceptibility you will be to viruses. So watching your mind, calming your mind. All that stuff is not just like cool to do anymore. It's perfect for your immune system to
Wow.
be calm, to breathe, to to take those time outs for yourself. It's helpful and healing for your immune system. So as we open up, the world, if you want to keep strong, you're going to have to sort of pay more attention to what you eat and how you function, because the less stress, the better your immune system for sure.
Wow. But the needs do change slightly between, different generations and ages, right? There's some main tenets that, apply to everybody. But let's go a little bit decade by decade. I think it's a really cool take, and I'm sure you have a lot of insight because mommyhood comes in many different ages, starting with your 20s. So moms in their mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, beyond vitamin D, vitamin C, right? What else? What are the main focuses within that time frame of life?
So I would say like people in their 20s and 30s that maybe have young kids, is that what you're saying? Like sort of in like the baby stage?
Yeah, there are years.
Yeah, what they want to really be paying attention to is their adrenal glands. Okay. And that's really everyone, but especially those young, sort of that young stage where you're not sleeping and you're running around. The not sleeping thing that we all go through at the beginning, thank God I'm past that mostly, but the not sleeping thing is very detrimental to your immune system, unfortunately. And I don't want a young mom to hear that, be like, oh my God, I'm going to get COVID. It's not that. It's just because of that, and because of that susceptibility already, those people really want to do something extra to boost their immune system, meaning they should really be, the fruits and vegetables, and maybe laying off the sugar, and, decreasing the coffee, and, really exercising, taking those time out so that they can balance out what the lack of sleep is doing. How about CBD oil? It's being hyped like crazy. Do you need to take it every day for it to work? Great question. I don't know much about CBD oil, to be honest. I have heard great things about it. It's very new on the market, so there's not a lot of research, but I think it's a very benign substance, meaning if it works for you, go for it. Like there's not a lot of side effects, and if anything, there's a lot of good positive effects. So it really is seen as a supplement that is good and beneficial for your health.
Wow, great question. That gives us a segue into the next decade of where we're headed, I think all three of us, in the next few years, and that is the 40s. Tell us about what we should potentially be dealing with, where our kids are a little older. Hopefully we are sleeping a bit better. Tell us, Jodi.
So this is when our hormones are really starting to shift as women, and we want to be, we want to be really wary of sort of, again, it's still supporting your adrenal glands, but even more so, maybe even in extra ways. So what I mean is, if you're starting to feel irritable or moody every single day, if you're starting to not sleep, if you're starting to feel anxious because of COVID or all of the above, then you want to, and you've already cleaned up the food and you're eating healthy and you're doing all the moving and everything like that, then you would want to add a supplement that would help your adrenal glands. It's called an adaptogen. So you'd want to take, I don't know if you guys have heard of these things. You want to take something like maybe rhodiola or ashwagandha or ginseng. Have you guys heard of these things at all?
Ginseng for sure. The other two, ashwagandha and rhodiola.
Okay. So these are a class of herbs. It's herbal medicine and plant medicine, and they're a class of herbs that actually help your adrenal glands. So they give you that extra boost when your body's under a lot of stress, so that the physiological impact of the cortisol doesn't affect your system as much. So they're very protective herbs. So for women in their 30s and like sort of more 40s, as their hormones are changing, they might, if they're also under a lot of stress, they might need that additional boost, and adding in a herb like that could be very, very, very beneficial.
How do you notice the difference? I mean, I always wonder when you take a herb,
Yeah.
And you think it's going to work. Like, do you actually see like a major shift?
So herbs and supplements in general, like, so I would put them all in the same class, like magnesium, even vitamin C, vitamin D. Like, how do you know what's the point? So if you're prescribing a supplement for a specific condition and then the condition shifts, right, you know that supplement has been effective. Like, for example, a probiotic. I'm sure you guys have heard of that, right? Yeah, probiotic is very basic now. It's very known. That's a supplement though, right? So if I give somebody who's constipated a probiotic every day and all of a sudden in a few weeks their bowels are changing and shifting, I know that's had an impact.
Right.
So what I see when I prescribe adaptogens, specifically rhodiola. So rhodiola is one of my favorite herbs. Like, it's like dear to my heart. It's such a powerful herb. I only prescribe it when people are under a lot of stress and trauma, because it's not needed every day. It's needed for those, like, the 2 weeks before the big event, or like you're separating from your husband and you're in that like acute trauma, or you're moving your house and like you're in that or you're renovating. Like, it's positive and or negative, but like when you're in a time in your life where you're really like high adrenaline, taking a herb like that can really protect your physical body from the physiological stress.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
Really.
So people in their 40s, as their hormones are shifting, if they're living a really high stress lifestyle, that can be something that they could focus in on, and that would then affect their immune system, because stress kills their immune system.
Depletes all of that. I'm going to ask a quick question, which we didn't discuss, Carolina and I, but on this topic, okay, let's take COVID aside, and you're walking into a beautiful health store and you're ready to buy yourself some supplements and some, what are they called? Adaptogens, whatever they are. I mean, there are so many, and I know this is probably alive in itself, but if you can just give us some pointers as to where to start when you're looking on the shelves and you see 10 different products per, like magnesium. Let's give an example.
So I'm going to be really frank with you. Like, when I'm saying, if you want to know where to start with supplements, really, you need to see a naturopathic doctor.
Okay,
like,
there we go.
You know, like, I don't want people. I could tell you, like, bare bone, what are the 1 or 2 most important things that women should take through the ages. I'm more than happy to, like, 30s, you know, vitamin C and D, and 40s. But if you want your own specific, unique protocol that's going to work for you, Liat, and you, Carolina, based on your life and that is something that you have to meet with an expert and, you know, have them hear your story and your symptoms and then put something together for you, right? That's also why I have to say that disclaimer, because, you know, there have been people in my profession who have gotten in trouble on lives like this or other things where they are like suggesting supplements, and then someone will go buy one and then they'll have a side effect. Like, oh, this naturopath on this live told me to buy it. But it's like, really, if you're going to start a regimen, a true regimen with any vitamin, supplement, etc., you need to be guided. Just because it's natural doesn't mean there's going to be side effects. It might interact with medications that you're on. But all that being said, vitamin D everyone should be taking right now. Taking an adaptogen is something that anyone could, you know, go into a vitamin store and say, like, you know, I want to try this and that.
Okay, amazing.
Sorry.
No, carry on.
No, I was just going to say that we're missing 1 decade.
Yes.
Yes, we're missing a decade. The 50s.
I mean, it's hormone madness in your 50s for a lot of people. So what are your thoughts about that?
So women in their 50s are definitely in a different hormonal shift than even the 40s. So the 40s really still want to work on the cortisol. That's where the adaptogens come in. And, you know, keeping those adrenal glands strong. In the 50s, the hormones are already starting to shift. You're already starting to get a decrease in progesterone. Some people might even be going through perimenopause or even starting menopause at that age, right? So what they need to focus on are ways to naturally keep the hormones strong. So women in their 50s want to take things like maca. Maca is actually a food. It's Peruvian, I believe. Have you heard of Maca
I'm
Root?
going to consult my Peruvian husband. Maybe he knows about that.
Aren't you Peruvian? Am I wrong? Aren't you?
Her husband's Peruvian. She's Uruguayan.
I know I've seen like Insta stuff with you in Peru, so I just
I'm
assumed.
an honorary Peruvian. I love it.
So,
yeah.
Look into that, because I believe the Maca root is has a Peruvian origin. It is actually a root vegetable, and it naturally increases estrogen, which is one of the first things to go down in women who are over 50, and that's where a lot of the symptoms will start to come in, because estrogen is like, you know, what gives us our lubrication down there. Estrogen is what gives us, you know, our libido, our sensuality, all of that stuff. And when it starts to deplete at 50, we start to get some adverse symptoms because of that. And maca root is one of the most natural ways that women can just it's like a quarter of a teaspoon into their smoothies in the morning.
Amazing.
And they can help to prevent that estrogen depletion and boost their estrogen in a very natural very natural way. So I would say that would be a good thing for women of that age.
Yeah, just taking very diligent notes. I can see the red pen.
I'm a note taker. And honestly, I've been wanting to say it from the beginning, but we did Jodi's cleanse. For anyone who's watching, okay, yeah. Carolina and I last summer could not have come at a better time. We went and we spent the time with Jodi to do her 10-day cleanse. And it was, for me, and I know for Carolina, it was life-changing. Being in your space, connecting with those women, but really learning from you and hearing all the stuff. And that's why I'm taking the notes again, because honestly, I just want to be back in your presence. You really, I don't know what it is. You have a really amazing sense of calm, and you're obviously so knowledgeable. So it leads us to our next question, which is shifting gears a little bit away from the supplements and more to the mental load that we are all carrying, COVID or no COVID, moms or not moms, people in general right now. And whereas nourishing our bodies, of course, that's important, and movement is important, but let's talk about like the way we think and feel and how that actually affects our health. I'm assuming you're going to tell us.
So I'm going to guys, 1 sec. I feel like it just got dark, and I want to just turn a light on and see if it's a bit bright. Like 1 sec.
I actually went to see Jodi as a naturopath after we did the cleanse. And remember, I came to you to start my supplement journey, actually, because I realized that I was missing out on everything. I can't. Is that better? Where are you?
Yeah, that's so much better.
Yes, okay.
It is. It's really dark. I'm like, okay, we're gonna start talking about this deep stuff. Like, I gotta.
You gotta turn on the light. Okay, so tell us.
Turn on the light. Talk about the darker stuff or the deeper stuff. So the mental load is huge right now. I'm just going to get right to it and just be very honest about it. So much of the work that I'm doing with people one-on-one is supporting them through, you know, the mental challenges. I'm assuming we're talking about COVID in general. Yes, Leah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Carolina was saying, you know, she doesn't have childcare right now. She's at the home alone with no space with her kids all day, every day. Like, my heart is aching for her. Truly, and everyone else that's in her position, which is probably most people watching this. That is really challenging. That is really, really hard for any human being. Okay. So that alone, parents that are going through that, parents that are trying to manage work, kids, homeschooling, especially if they're TDSB kids, like which my kids are, they don't have, it's like, it's great, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they're Zooming every hour on the hour, right?
Same as us, yeah. Same.
So TDSB is great, and I'm grateful for the teachers, but it's still on the parents to do it. So that is a lot to manage. That is not the normal amount that we as human beings in 2020 are used to managing. So that in and of itself is very, very, very challenging, and we can't take that lightly. And when we get frustrated or irritable, or we feel like we just can't take it 1 minute longer, we need to give ourselves time to feel that. And that's also when the tools come in, not to like negate it, but to remind ourselves that, yes, right now we're feeling low or weak or like we can't do it, but we can, and we are. and like sort of coaching yourself through those low moments, knowing you're going to have a high moment. Because I know, even though like Carolina, I can talk to you because you said like, even with the tools sometimes, of course, even with the tools sometimes, like I'm sure though, in the challenging moments, you could also say, Jodi, I've had some like high moments, right?
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
many.
So many.
Yeah.
So that's life. And when we can accept that, when our brains can accept that life is never going to be this fixed, happy thing, we're always going to be moving and up and down and happy and joyful and challenged and irritable and sad and joyful. And like when we accept that we're always moving through those things, then when we're low, we're not as scared.
Right.
So that's really important for people to learn how to flow and to be really kind to themselves when they're low. Because what most moms are doing now it's your fault that your house is a shit show. And it's your fault that which is not helpful for anybody.
You know what's toughest to cope with, and I don't know if you guys find the same or if people watching find the same. For me, like I'm very forgiving, and I move through life as if it was the ocean, right? I see the waves, I see that we go up and down, and that's the way I've always lived. But right now, I am dealing with major guilt over sloppy parenting, over the kind of parenting that I didn't think I'd see. I didn't think I'd see my kids like on their electronics for 4 or 5 hours a day. Right?
Can I just pause you for a second? What do you mean when you say guilt? I just want to know what your definition.
Guilt?
Yeah.
That I continue to beat myself over and over and over again over the fact that I cannot seem to control my children's routines to the degree that I'd like to, and that I need personal space for work, right? Or for making meals or for showering. And that my children end up, not neglected, but yes, not being attended to the way I wish I could. And they end up in front of screens for like massive amounts of time. I'm sure I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
Okay, but let's talk about the guilt. Let's talk about the guilt, Carolina, because you're being vulnerable right now, and I think it's great, and I think we can all learn from this. No, it's good.
It is good.
When you say guilt, you've had a lot of guilt lately. What your definition is, you've been beating yourself up because of your parenting and because of some things going on in your house that aren't ideal. Yes? Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So that is common. I bet you're not alone in that. See, the problem with that, though, especially through COVID, is that that's going to increase your feelings of irritability.
Yeah.
It's going to increase your attention. It's going to increase your anxiety. It's going to increase all the things that you're judging. And it's going to make them even more apparent. So the judgment of what we want to change will never change it. It will stagnate it. When we are judgmental of self, when you are saying, oh, Carolina and your kids and the screens and it's too much, it's your fault, and if only you could keep it together, and what's wrong with you, and everyone else looks so great on Instagram, and you look, what are you doing, and look at your house, and when you go into that whole shenanigans, when you go there, I need you to catch yourself and be like, stop. No. I've lost my way. I'm not doing this anymore. Carolina, I love you. You're doing amazing. You're doing the best that you can. This is a freaking pandemic. We've been in social isolation for 9 weeks. No one knows how to do this. You had no childcare. I bow down to your feet. Please, you be here and tell me what to do.
Totally.
You tell that girl, I am so goddamn proud that you've made it this far and that your kids are still alive and they haven't been on screens for 24 hours. It's only been 6.
Almost.
Love you. And you got this, girl.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the right message. And I feel like we can't forget that as moms, being in the situation we currently are in, it has to be our mantra. There will be like shitty times. There will continue to be, but
I want to tell you something, Carolina, because I want everybody to hear this because this is important.
I know what you're going to say, and this changed my thought process when I heard this from you. I'm just prefacing this because I know what you're about to say. Go.
You're so cute, Leah. It is the human default when the brain is under stress to be critical and judgmental of self. You're not alone in this, Carolina. through COVID, our brains are under so much more stress than normal, frustration, all of it. Okay. I get you. I feel you on all of it. I've been slamming doors. Like really, I get you. So when the brain's default, when it's stressed, is to go into all that judgment, criticism, guilt, as you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in COVID, we're in a pandemic. That's where we're going to go, but it's going to make everything worse. Our health, our mental health, for sure our mental health, but even our physical health. Because what most moms do when they're beating themselves up, if it's after 9 o'clock, they're drinking wine, they're eating cookies, right? Which is making them feel worse. So that's the human default. If we want to shift that, it's a practice no different than going out for a run every day, doing your movement that's non-negotiable for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being aware, saying, I have a choice. I can keep beating myself up, which is what my brain's default is, or I can do what Dr. Jodi said today, and I can start there. I could say one nice thing. I could be like, Carolina, holy shit. Because what I would say to you is, Carolina, holy shit, you haven't had childcare for 9 weeks. You tell me about strength. Because I've been coming to work every day while my kids are being watched by my nanny. And yes, I'm supporting people, and yes, I'm doing good work, and I don't deny that. But I would be in a gutter. I would be in a gutter.
Listen, girl, it's not the end of the world, but it's
I'm just.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Take it in. I want you to open your heart. Just like when Liat says to me, Jodi, you've changed my life and all this. And I open my heart and I say, thank you. I want you to feel what I'm saying because it's true. And I want you to be like, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
I do feel it.
Good.
Yeah. I think you are speaking
talking to all the moms.
All the moms, 100%.
That also haven't had childcare in 9 weeks. I'm talking to every single one of you guys. And I'm talking to the moms with childcare and that are busting jobs and homeschooling and teach. I'm talking to every single one of you guys, okay? And everyone that is holding people up right now and trying to hold themselves up, I'm talking to you. Enough guilt. We are all doing our best. This is crazy times. No one has been given the manual.
There is no manual.
We thought it was going to be so cool and easy, right? No drop-offs, no pickups, no lunch boxes, but 3 times a day meals, right?
Right. Oh my God.
Emotions. Like I don't know about you guys, but like my 6-year-old's emotional a lot. He's sad. This is his friends. He drew a picture the other day of a big heart with a thing, like a squiggly line. And I said, what is that, Cole? He said, it's how I feel today. I miss my friends and I'm heartbroken. Oh, I know. Yeah. Of course, my kid, right?
Yeah, of course, your child would know to draw that.
We processed through it and we felt it and it broke my heart, but it's the truth. Like I'm heartbroken a lot of days these days, right? Like there's a lot of sadness and, it's there. Like we have to learn how to hold the beauty and the pain all at once. It's not one or the other. You are strong,
the beauty and the
goddess, and you're weak. So am I. Like I'm a fierce goddess, and I can be in the gutter sometimes.
And yes,
the way it is.
That's life, right?
That's life.
That is so true. And especially when you touched on it earlier with this whole, you see, people only put on Instagram what they want people to see and on social media. Yeah. And it's very hard to remind yourself every minute of every day that you're scrolling that there is the pain and the hard times behind that people just don't share because we all have it.
Oh my goodness. Every time I go on Instagram and I see moms who dress up beautifully and take amazing pictures with their kids in their houses and their houses look clean and their clothes look perfect and their makeup is and I'm like, how am I ever going to make my Instagram feed look good again?
Oh my God.
Filter. We had somebody come into the house, the first person that came into our house in 9 weeks because the furnace in our house nearly caused the house to burn down. That's another story. Right. It was overnight and Oren woke up in the middle of the night smelling smoke. Anyway, the next day, the guy comes to check the furnace. We called 911. The fire people came. They said, it's okay. Just keep the furnace off. Next day, the guy comes in to fix the furnace. I was like so excited to see this random person in my home. But then immediately I was like, oh my God, I haven't cleaned up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I was just like, come on in. It was such a mess. Oh my gosh. And he was like, don't worry about it. I was so excited to have a stranger in my home.
Those are pre-COVID thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were like, don't you want to stay? He was like, no. Oh my gosh.
So let's send out a little message to our director. Let us know how we're doing for time, because we can literally talk to Jodi for a million years.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to sneak in another question, and this has to do with the sky outside. And it really connects with our current situation because we're spending a lot of time at home. And honestly, I feel like 90% of the time when I look at the window lately, it's gray. It's May.
It's brutal.
What's going on?
Snowing. Yesterday was literally a blizzard.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of a winter blues situation also mixing into the, in the soup of COVID. So if there's something we can do at least about that, how can we address that to maybe, counteract a little bit of the sadness we're feeling right now?
Yeah. So again, it's the basics, like movement, even when it's dark, even when it's gray. Yes, of course, it's
when it's freezing.
Go for a walk in the sunshine, but if you can push yourself. Back to the vitamin D. Vitamin D comes from the sun.
Yeah.
So if we want to help our moods, especially when it's gray out, we need to have that vitamin D in our bodies. Hydration is important. For someone who really suffers from SAD, using your light, like those UV, you know what I'm talking about, like those light lamps.
You know what I'm using right now to light myself up?
Yeah.
Do you know what my lighting is right now? It's not a ring light. It's my UV light.
And does it help you? Do you find it helps you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And then I think also at this point too, sometimes we just have to be gentle with ourselves. Like on a gross, rainy, dark day, I'm not pushing myself to be my most productive self. I'm lowering my expectations. When it's bright and sunny and beautiful, then I'm like, okay, Joe, kill it today. Like, I think we also have to sometimes adjust and not, like, I don't think anyone can motivate when it's dull and gross and rainy. We all want to be in sweatpants. We're all feeling a little bit more heavy. So I think sometimes you just have to go with the flow of what you're feeling and not fight it all the time. It's going to get right soon. Like, it's got to happen soon, like
this weekend. I already checked. This weekend we're going into like the 19s and the 20s.
We're going to get shorts and flip flops this weekend. We're seeing shorts and flip flops.
Yeah.
That means we have to shave our legs. Hold on a sec. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
No one's going to see you anyways yet, so don't worry.
God. You're so right. You're so right.
We're going to see you from 6 feet apart anyway.
That's so true.
So I'm speaking about that, like my eyebrows, I'm someone who, like, I wax them a lot. I obviously have waxed in 9 weeks. I don't even know how to pluck them. Thank God on Zoom you can't really see because
we can't see.
They're perfect. They're perfect. Really. They're perfect little birdies.
Oh my gosh, that is something that every mom is relating to right now, whether it's the eyebrows or
the roots,
whatever the grooming. There we go, the roots.
They said everybody on COVID is going to find out what the real hair color is. It's coming out.
So true. Guys, we are coming on 50 minutes, so I think we're going to rippity wrap. That's my way of saying wrap it up. And before we finish off, Jodi, you have amazing resources, cleansers, classes. You obviously your practice. Tell us where the best place is for people to find you and to contact you and to see more about what you do.
Thank you. So my website for sure, and I don't know if I can share it in the comments, but I can do that. It's jodilarrynd.com, JODILARRYND.com. I'm also doing, through COVID, free community support classes every Thursday at 2. So I can share the resource for this week's link if anyone has watched and they want to learn more. As Liat said, I have a 10-day cleanse program that's on my website. I can share my Instagram below as well. But I would say if you're interested in learning more, register for the community class this week. It's free. And you can see more, about tools and resources and self-compassion and all of it. Oh,
Brilliant. There
And
we
Jodi,
go. Follow
you're
Dr. Jodi
amazing.
Larry.
best way.
There we go. That's where we find you.
And
You're
if you follow me
amazing.
on Instagram, what I can guarantee is that every day you'll be hearing about how proud you should be of yourself, you know, lifting yourself up. You are enough. We're all in this together. Be kind to yourself, because that impacts your health so much more than anything, you know, really.
100%. Do you guys hear my husband talking again?
What's
What
that?
do you say?
Do you hear my husband talking again? No.
No, not at all.
Good.
Not
Okay,
really.
Fantastic. Jodi, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us almost 1 hour of your time. I feel like you've inspired us, you've informed us, and we're so thankful.
I'm so thankful. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. All right.
That was so amazing. Gosh. Every
Oh.
time we talk to her, hey, I just feel calm.
I just feel like I
feel
just went through a session, right?
Well, you kind of did. I'm so happy you got it, because everybody else needed to hear it too, including me. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, I mean, it's a shared experience. It's definitely not Carolina trying to get, tips from the pro. I know that so many of us are, just mixing in those happy days and those sad days and those tough days. And it's nice to get some perspective for somebody who has it so together, like Jodi.
Well, she's been working very, very hard at it for many years, and it obviously shows, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So
right,
whoever has watched, thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. This is really important messages that we wanted to share with you guys today. That's why we brought Jodi on. We will be back next week, but next week it'll be Thursday, back in our usual slot at 4 p.m. with a totally different guest and a very interesting surprise. So keep watching, and we'll see you next week.
And you can bring the kids along next week, right?
Yes, you can.
It's going to be fun.
Yes,
Well,
you
we'll
can.
see you next week.